Hi everyone, welcome to Honey Drops Tarot. This is a reading for the water signs and what your higher self would like to communicate. Water signs, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all of your likes, shares, and subscribes. I truly appreciate it. Just a quick note, please do not fall for any scammers. I will never reach out to solicit for a private reading. I do offer private readings, and if you're interested in signing up for one of those or in making a donation, you can find that information in my Buy Me a Coffee link, my official Instagram and TikTok, all listed in the About section of my YouTube page. And I thank you so much in advance. Water signs, I hope that you're doing well. Excuse me. It's very weird. I was doing, I do my daily readings, my kind of 30 to 60-second readings, and I just could not find the words. I couldn't get the message out, and it was really frustrating. And I feel like there's a little bit of bleed through of that energy with you right now. Maybe you're finding it difficult to express yourself. So Spirit wanted me to bring that forward to say, it's okay if you have to take a moment of pause, that you don't always have to contribute if you don't want to the conversation at hand, to, the voices of the peanut gallery, that we don't always have to be the ones talking. Sometimes we can be the ones listening. And water signs are generally very good at that. But you might be feeling some kind of pressure, or somebody might be putting pressure on you to speak. And okay, Spirit just said that part of it might be an act of resistance or an act of defiance. Take it as it resonates. But if you're in that energy right now where you're finding it difficult to communicate, or maybe just get your words right, it's okay to pause. The advice is to kind of quiet the mind and allow the downloads to come in, right? Because this is a reading all about what your higher self wants to say. Maybe the surroundings in your life have been a little too loud, and so the messages from your higher aspect or your soul are getting a little muffled. So it requires some quietude to be able to hear what those are. And I just felt a fluctuation in my right ear, so I think I'm onto something there. I'm going to be using 2 decks for your reading today. The Oracle of the Universe deck for the overall energy, and the Mystic Mondays Tarot deck for your tarot reading. Actually, let me just turn on a light. This is for the water signs, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. You got number 39. Kind of jumped out of the deck. That reduces to a 12, which is the Hanged Man energy. Perfect, right? The Hanged Man energy. We are kind of voluntarily, maybe voluntold, but voluntarily taking a time out, trying to get some perspective. That's all about the Hanged Man. It's a nebula, the Skull Nebula, and the word is fragility. The Skull Nebula and fragility. A little bit of a brutal image, I might say. Also, I like to point out that the character depicted here, she has white hair back here, so she's more of a matronly or mother-aged figure, which I love to see. It's not something that you see that often, actually, in all the decks that I have. You don't see kind of older women represented often, so you might resonate with that. There could be some, and I don't have to be talking to an older woman for this message to mean anything, but it's this sense of maturity and maybe surrendering to the fact that you could be feeling a little fragile right now. Things might not be adding up. It's all this kind of fragmented material here. Things might not be adding up in the way that they used to. You might have to be adjusting your lifestyle, adjusting your approach, your attitude, your perspective on things. Because in many senses, at least in, I live in the United States, so there's a whole paradigm shift that's happening. And it can really, it's such a strong one that there's a lot that's just hanging up in the air, waiting to settle, and it just seems like it never will, right? But that could be going on like a macrocosm level or a microcosm, like within your own family or within your own selfhood. Spirit is saying to embrace the fragility, embrace and acknowledge the fact that you don't feel like you have all the answers. And especially if you're somebody who is a little bit older, if you're like in midlife, I'm definitely approaching midlife, and I'm in my midlife, quite frankly, and there's so many things that you discover about yourself, and there's so many questions that you still have, and there's so many instances where you don't feel like an adult that can take care of yourself, and there's so many instances where you just feel like you look around and all you see are children, right? So there's this sense within you, water signs, that things are in flux, things are still fluid right now, and you're trying to hold it all together. You're trying to hold it all together. So let's get some cards from the tarot. These are messages from your higher self. I'm going to pull 3 cards for the base spread, 3 cards for clarifier. This is just a general message. There is no past, present, or future. Just a general message for the water signs. The deck feels very clumsy. I mean, I might be clumsy, but the deck feels like just clumsy. It's not shuffling very well, but we got there. You got an additional card, which I will take as the overall energy as well. 10 of Pentacles. Love to see it, water signs. I'm also a water sign. Love to see the 10 of Pentacles. Go, shiny. Spirit just showed me a pool table, right? We put this down like this, and it's not as many, but we put this down like this, and rack them up. Spirit just said, rack them up. I don't know if you've ever played pool before. It's a lot of fun. Even if you're terrible at it, it's still fun. Because it's an easy game where you're allowed to make fun of yourself and everybody still has a good time. But Spirit is saying, rack them up, water signs. There is abundance here. Pentacles energy is earth energy. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn can talk about finances, opportunities, crucial conversations and connections, networking, stable home life, stable finances, stable health. This is beautiful. Rack them up. Right? So even if you're in this space, let's say emotionally, I can relate to this. Even if you're in that space emotionally, like on paper, there still seems to be a lot of abundance here. And it's almost as like, well, thank goodness for that, right? Because I feel like a mess, but at least, you know, I'm stable in terms of my living situation or my job situation, for example, because a lot of people they're not experiencing that stability right now. So even if you're in the same job, right? Even if you're in the same job and it's kind of doldrums day to day, you can still be thankful for it because you still have something to go to, right? And it could be worse, but it could be better. But you're in this stable place right now, and that's what Spirit is showing me. So we can show our gratitude for it. And if it's not talking about a job, it could be talking about your family or your friendships, where you're surrounded by soul tribe who see you, right? They see you. I see you. I acknowledge you. I acknowledge this space of fragility that you're in. Let me be your friend. Can't let go of friends like that. I have to tell you, I'm distracted by something I'm seeing out the window. Across the street from me is a very large medical research laboratory type thing. So the building is it's tall in comparison to where I'm sitting right now. And I can see the reflection in the windows. And there seems to be a rather large bird that is flying through the sky and landing on the top of my apartment building. It's not a crow. It's not a sparrow. It's much larger than that. It's like a hawk of some kind, which is, I live in the city, so it's not as common as you would think. So I want to point that out because Spirit is distracting me with it. So, when we think of a hawk, I don't know what bird it is, but this is what I feel. When we think of a hawk, it's like Hawkeyes, right? Like the character in the Marvel film. You might like that character. But Hawkeyes are very, the eyes of the hawk are very finely tuned. There's agility and an awareness and a prowess with a creature like the hawk. They have a lot of speed. They have hunting abilities that are unmatched. And so it's almost like Spirit is calling you to remember, your higher self is calling you to remember that you have that prowess, that you may feel kind of like a mess, but at the end of the day, when you really have to rally, you know how to rack them up. You know how to have everything in alignment. You know how to make things work in your favor. So this is the thing, though. That's the dichotomy of it, because on the outside, water signs may have it all together. I'm thinking of all the water signs in my life right now, and I know so many. On the outside, you could not tell that anything is going on underneath the surface, because I know a lot of water sign women. I know a couple of water sign men, but I know a lot of water sign women. Number one, they're looking amazing. Let's just put that out there. They're looking amazing. They're boss babes, right? In their own way, whether it's within their family unit or their work situation. They're fine. They're looking great. But like in the background programming, a little bit scattered, a little bit, insecure, emotional, and far be it from me to ever point that out as anything but a strength, because for, us water signs, obviously it's our strength. But when they can get away from us, it feels kind of like this. So, right, on the outside, looking gorgeous. On the inside, a little bit scattered. So, the first two cards I have out here, Ace of Swords in the reverse, and the Two of Pentacles. So, these two cards, it's kind of funny how these two cards go together. Because anytime you see an Ace of Swords, aces bring new from Spirit. It's like clarity, epiphany, and breakthrough. Standing strong with that sword of truth. The BS detector that can cut through anything. But the card is in reverse. When the sword is pointed down in a tarot reading, it's kind of like the truth has not yet been revealed. It's not clear. It's not spoken. And then with the Two of Pentacles, there's this juggling energy, but I feel from it a little bit of confusion, a little bit of wishy-washiness. We're fluctuating a little too much. This could be the energy that you're in right now. There's nothing wrong with this energy per se, but imagine that if you're juggling something, you're juggling responsibilities, at some point, either a responsibility has to come to a close so that we can make room for more responsibilities, or we have to try to elicit some help, pass some of that responsibility along to others, so that we don't overburden ourselves, because we have but only so many hands to juggle. And I think that's kind of what is happening right now. See, it's almost like if there were two hands in the situation, one hand is holding the sword and the other hand is like making these kind of the balls, just juggling with one hand. And can you imagine how cumbersome? Spirit is giving me a stupid example. Not that Spirit is stupid, but the example could be better. But like yesterday, I went out with my water sign sister, and I had a backpack on, I had my big coat because it's wintertime. I had a shopping bag, a bag full of leftovers from dinner, and groceries that we were like in the grocery store, and she was kind of like, can I help you carry anything? And I was like, no, I got it. And then Spirit is showing me that example. I guess it's not a stupid example, but Spirit is showing that to me, where literally I had somebody that had two free hands and eventually a cart. And my stubborn self was like, no, I have everything. And like, I just look stupid trying to hold everything. Like, why? Like, why? I could have given her one of those bags and I would have been better off, you know? So the Spirit's giving me that example right now. Like, are you asking for help when you need it? The next two cards, two major arcana, both in reverse. The Strength card, number 8, Leo energy, and the Moon, number 18, Pisces. Pisces, you showed up in your own reading. These are the cards in the upright. The Strength card talks about mastery over our fears, our phobias, the ego itself, understanding how our ego works in terms of our identity. How do we define ourselves? How do we relate to others? Spirit just said the word offset. Like we offset from others, which is, it's a strange way to put it, if that's what Spirit said. Like, how do we distinguish ourselves from others? How do we assert? How do we show our identity, our uniqueness? When the card is in the upright, there's a maturity about us. There is a sense of calm and confidence that is natural to who we are. But when the card is in reverse, it's almost as if there's something that is causing us, I should say so, that is causing us to question who we are. Now, the scale of that can fluctuate for all of you. The Moon card talks about mystery, illusion, confusion, secrets, things underneath the surface, shadows. When the card is in reverse, when the Moon card is in reverse, it's almost like the sun is coming up over the horizon now. Like the moon is being cast aside in the sky. Things are coming up to the surface where we can see them. So there's this sense here that's your higher self is saying, when you actually look at what is triggering you right now, what is causing this ruckus, this chaos internally, when you actually look at it, or you actually ask yourself, you know, why did I start crying in that circumstance? Not that there's anything wrong with crying, but like what triggered me in that moment? Why did I feel hurt? If you really just ask yourself that question and you listen to your own heart for the answer, your higher self, you will receive that answer. And once you acknowledge it, it'll feel better. I promise you it will. Now, how this comes out, how this externalizes could be different for everybody. So that recently happened to myself, and how it came out was like an absolute outburst and loud voices and anger. My sister had such an instance a couple days ago, and how it came out was emotions and sadness. And everybody feels it differently. Water signs feel it differently. But I took a look at what triggered me. She took a look at what triggered her. And then we both talked about it with each other because we're sisters. And then it just made sense. It's not about takesies, backsies, right? With our emotions. It's like it's out in the world. It's out in the world. I've expressed it. Can't take it back. Don't want to. But now that I understand where all of that stuff was bubbling up, right before it's expressed, it's just like a toxin to you. And it's almost better if it were to like come out, right? Like to be expressed outwardly, so that it doesn't create this vacuum or this pressure. Now Spirit's showing me, you know what Spirit's showing me? I don't know if this happens in other countries, but I only ever see videos of it in like China. They have these like pressure cookers, but it's like puffed rice. So there's this contraption that is like iron. It's like an iron urn. And they put just regular, I guess, rice in this thing and they spin it over a flame. And it's a pressure cooker. And they just spin it. The pressure builds up. And they put it in this bag. And then they release the pressure and it kind of explodes. And then you have these rice puffs. It's like it infused the air into the grains of rice. And then it becomes Rice Krispies or whatever. I don't know what it becomes. It's just like this snack, like this kind of dessert. I don't know. You could identify with that. But Spirit's showing me that pressure cooker. But then when it explodes, right, it explodes under intense situations. And if you're not careful, it can get everywhere. We don't necessarily, yes, we want to express ourselves, but we don't want it to like take out other people. We don't want our emotions to control us. That's what they always say, isn't it? It's true. It's true. It's really hard though, because sometimes I just want to, but it's true. We're finally ending here. We're finally ending here with the another set of major arcana, both in the upright. Number 20, the Judgment. Number 6, the Lovers. The Lovers. Very clear message for some of you. Maybe these are some hang-ups you've been having lately, right? Some hang-ups you've been having, and it's been preventing you from stepping into your power, right? Stepping through this doorway of judgment where we step onto our path. That's what the Judgment card is all about. Listening to the call of Spirit, stepping onto our life's blueprint path. What are we meant to do in this lifetime? Answering the call, right? I want to show you, look how the paths, right? It's almost like we go through this door, and it leads us to the Lovers in the path. The Lovers card, Gemini energy, can talk about divine partnership, union. Can also talk about a choice point. Both of these are about choices. Both of them. This one talks about your divine path. This one talks about what speaks to your heart. It doesn't have to be a person. It can just be a passion. But it's the choice of pursuing it. It's the choice of pursuing it. It's very beautiful energy. I'm going to get one card of advice from Spirit. This is for the water signs. From your higher self. What is the advice for the water signs, please, Spirit? Magician in reverse. You still are hesitant to manifest. It's almost now like I see, it's like I want Spirit to line it up for me. My path to love and romance and passion and heart space activity, creativity. Can't Spirit just line it up for me? Can't Spirit just make it easy? I'll step on the path. I don't want to think about it too much. But your higher self is saying, sorry, that's not how it works. They want you to make magic. They want you to decide. Yes, they can line things up for you, but you have to be the catalyst, the impetus. And right now I see some hesitation. Maybe because it's not really clear. It's like things are going well, right? Could we? I mean, I'm sure some of you could complain. I mean, I could complain if I really wanted to. But for a lot of you, things could be even keel and things could be going our way, right? But then there's this other side of you that's like, but it feels like a mess on the inside. It feels like a mess. And I'm not clear. So Spirit is saying that's the first thing that you have to do is be clear about what you want. And in order to do that, we actually have to quiet the mind, because that's the challenge here. That's the challenge. And there's a part of you that feels like, especially with the fragility, let's say you quiet the mind and there's some shadows and demons and scary things, scary memories, scary experiences. When you think about them, it's like you don't know if you could lift yourself out of that. What you perceive might be nightmare energy. But I think you'd be surprised that when you can just call something by its name, you can just say, in meditation practice, you can say that's a feeling, that's a thought, that's a feeling, that's a thought. And it's no different, it's no better or no worse than the next feeling and thought. And you can level everything out on the playing field. Then you can kind of detach from those fears and triggers and traumas and scary things. You can say, okay, I acknowledge you. I acknowledge I might have a fear of abandonment or a fear of attachment. I acknowledge that I have a fear of destitution or a fear that I will not be able to stop. When you can finally express that, right, when the moon can reveal its secrets, that's when growth happens. So that's your reading, water signs. I hope that it resonated. If it did, please like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Please hit the bell notification to be updated as to when I post new readings. Thank you, water signs.